Cold case file, the Zodiac Killer. Victims: the Zodiac claims 37 murders, law enforcement attributes 5 murders and 2 attempted murders. Location /S, Northern California, Benicia, Vallejo, Napa County and San Francisco. Date: late 1960s. Outcome: never solved. Overview. The Zodiac Killer, or the Zodiac, is a pseudonym for the highly infamous serial killer active in Northern California in the late 1960s who has never officially been caught to this day. There are 5 murders officially associated with the Zodiac Killer along with 2 attempted murders. The killer himself claimed to have killed 37 people. The Zodiac's signature included sending letters to law enforcement and newspapers which would contain information only the perpetrator of the relevant murders would know, along with evidence from the crime. He is well known for creating ciphers, a series of symbols, that were sent with his numerous letters. A total of 4 ciphers were produced, sent between 1969 and 1974. The first was sent in 3 parts to make up the Z408 cipher. The second, known as the Z340 cipher, was only recently decoded in 2020. The third cipher, sent in April 1970, had 13 symbols, known as Z13, and was alleged to contain the Zodiac's name, but has never been solved. The last cipher, sent in June 1970 and known as the Z32 cipher, was meant to lead to the location of the Zodiac's bomb but has never been decoded. In the quest to solve the identity of the Zodiac Killer, many suspects have been considered over the years. The only publicly named suspect was Arthur Lee Allen. Profile description. Survivors and witnesses' accounts, though few, described the Zodiac Killer as generally being of height 5'8", 5'10" with curly brown/light red-brown hair in a crew cut. He was described as usually wearing dark clothing with distinctive shoes known as wing walkers, military jump boots, established as being size 10.5 after shoe marks were found at the Lake Berryessa crime scene. He wore horn-rimmed glasses and allegedly had a medium forward/stocky build. In the cases that haunt us, John Douglas profiled the Zodiac as being driven by a need for attention and being a paranoid, self-conscious, narcissistic loner. As exhibited in his letters, Douglas described him as seeking to prove intellectual superiority to compensate for inadequacies. For example, his letters, while written in an intelligent manner, contained many spelling errors. The Zodiac also did not have a singular, specific modus operandi. Some of his confirmed victims were killed with a pistol, of which not all were identical, and others with a knife. His method of approaching victims also varied greatly between murders. Confirmed cases. The 20th of December 1968, Lake Herman Road, Benicia. Victims: David Arthur Faraday, 17. Betty Lou Jensen, 16. Details. At around 10:15 p.m. on the 20th of December 1968, Faraday and Jensen were parked in Faraday's mother's Rambler in a well-known lover's lane on Lake Herman Road. Their bodies were discovered a little after 11 p.m. It was deduced that another car had pulled up and parked next to the high school students just before that time. In order to get the two to exit the car, shots were fired into the station wagon. Faraday had been shot once in the head at point-blank range as he was halfway out of the car. Jensen had allegedly exited the car and began to flee. She was found approximately 8.5 meters from the car and had been shot 5 times in the back. Both Faraday and Jensen were killed. A .22 caliber semi-automatic pistol with Western ammunition was used. Much speculation surrounded this case and there were several suspects. The Zodiac didn't claim these murders until later and provided details not made public. The 5th of July, 1969, Blue Rock Springs, Vallejo. Victims: Michael Reno Maggio, 19. Darlene Elizabeth Furin, 22. Details. Furin and Maggio were parked at Blue Rock Springs Park in Furin's Corvair just before midnight on the 5th of July, 1969 when a car pulled in next to them and then immediately left. The car returned after about 10 minutes and parked behind them. A man emerged with a flashlight and pistol and approached them. He allegedly flashed the light into the victim's eyes before shooting. 5 shots were fired, both Furin and Maggio were hit, with some bullets passing through Maggio into Furin. The killer left for his car but promptly returned after hearing Maggio groaning and fired 2 additional shots at each victim. In total, Furin was shot 5 times and Maggio was shot 4 times, with a 9mm semi-automatic pistol with Super X ammunition. Maggio survived. Furin died upon arrival at the hospital. Furin's car was found with the ignition on, handbrake released, and transmission in first gear, suggesting that it was likely she was preparing to leave the area after spotting the man approaching. Maggio survived the incident and described the killer as 5'8", 5'9" in height, 88 to 91 kilograms in weight, aged 26 to 30 years, white complexion, light brown, curly hair and a stocky build. That morning at 12:40 a.m., about 45 minutes after the incident, a call was received by the Vallejo police from a payphone by a man claiming responsibility and detailing that a 9mm weapon was used, whilst also taking credit for the Lake Herman Road murders. On the 31st of July, 1969, the Vallejo Times-Herald, San Francisco Examiner, and San Francisco Chronicle each received a letter allegedly from the killer. These letters detailed the Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs murders with information only he would know. These 3 letters each contained a cipher, Z408, that once solved would allegedly reveal his identity. Maggio was shown a lineup in 1991 and identified Arthur Lee Allen as the killer. However, this identification has been under a lot of scrutiny due to its flawed nature. The 27th of September, 1969, Lake Berryessa, Napa County. Victims: Brian Calvin Hartnell, 20. Cecilia Ann Shepard, 22. Details: Hartnell and Shepard were having a picnic on a small island at Lake Berryessa when a man approached them with a gun, wearing a black executioner-style hood, clip-on sunglasses and a bib with a crosshair symbol on it. He claimed to have escaped from prison and said he needed money and their car. He had brought plastic clothesline lengths that were pre-cut. He told Shepard to tie up Hartnell and then, after checking, tightened the loose bounds. He then started to repeatedly stab the couple with a knife, beginning with Hartnell and then Shepard. Shepard was stabbed 10 times, 5 in the front, 5 in the back, and Hartnell was stabbed 6 times in the back with a knife with a wooden handle and a 10-12 long blade. The perpetrator then left the scene and walked 460 meters to Hartnell's car and drew a crosshair symbol on the door, writing the following. The victims were both still alive when help arrived and were taken to the hospital in critical condition. Hartnell survived and Shepard died 2 days later from her injuries. Napa County Police received a call at 7:40 p.m. The caller reported the incident and claimed to be the perpetrator, saying he wanted to report a murder, a double murder. The payphone that the call was made from was 43 kilometers away from the crime scene. A palm print was recovered from the telephone but it has never been successfully matched. At the scene, tire tracks and shoe marks, wing walkers, size 10.5, were recovered. The shoe marks indicated that the individual was over 95 kilograms in weight. Hartnell described the killer as a white man of height 5'11" and weighing more than 77 kilograms. The 11th of October, 1969, Presidio Heights, San Francisco. Victim: Paul Stinn, 29. Details: This is the last confirmed murder committed by the Zodiac Killer. Stinn was a cab driver who was hailed down at Mason and Gay Streets to be driven to Washington and Maple Streets. However, the cab stopped a block away at Washington and Cherry Streets. Stinn was shot once in the back of the head at point-blank range with a 9mm semi-automatic pistol, different to the Blue Rock Springs murders, by the passenger, and his keys and wallet were taken. A portion of his shirt had also been torn off. At 9:55 p.m., 3 teenagers saw the perpetrator, a white male, across the street and called the police during the incident. The man was seen wiping down the cab and then walking away. Don Falk and Eric Zolms were the officers that responded to the call and saw a white man on the sidewalk, heading into the front yard of a home on the north side of Jackson Street. Falk described the man as being 35 to 45 years of age, 5'10" in height, wearing glasses, and light-colored hair worn in a crew cut, while the teenagers estimated him to be 25 to 30 years of age and 5'8", 5'9" in height. The teenagers also described him as being of stocky build, wearing heavy-rimmed glasses, having red forward/brown hair and wearing dark clothing. The officers overlooked this man because they were alerted to look for a suspect with darker skin. 2 composite sketches were created in collaboration with the 3 teenage witnesses. The Zodiac sent a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle on the 13th of October, 1969 claiming responsibility for Stin's murder as well as a threat of killing children on a school bus, and, along with the letter, sent an alleged torn-off portion of Stin's blooded shirt as proof. On the 20th of October, 1969, someone claiming to be the Zodiac Killer called the Oakland Police Department asking that a lawyer, either F. Lee Bailey or Melvin Belli, appear on the AM San Francisco. Belli appeared on the shows and several calls came in supposedly from the Zodiac, who said he would not reveal his identity, claiming to fear the gas chamber. A meetup was arranged but fell through. It was later confirmed that this was not the Zodiac but a mental institution patient. Ciphers. 408 cipher. The first cipher sent by the Zodiac Killer is known as the 408 cipher, due to it adding up to 408 symbols, and was sent in 3 parts to 3 newspapers on the 31st of July, 1969, the San Francisco Chronicle, Vallejo Times-Herald, and the San Francisco Examiner. The letters accompanying the ciphers contained claims of the Zodiac being the perpetrator in the Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs murders and included proof that only the killer and the police would know, like the ammunition, number of shots and positioning of the victims. It also claimed to contain his identity. The Zodiac demanded that the ciphers be published on the front pages of the newspapers, threatening that if they didn't, he would go on a killing rampage. Just over a week later, the cipher was decoded by citizens Betty June Harden and Donald Jean. The letter sent to the San Francisco Chronicle differed from the others in that it stated that his identity could be found in the cipher, which was found to be a false statement as the ciphers were not found to contain such a thing, and that it began with "This is the murderer" rather than "I am the killer." The last part of the cipher remains unresolved. I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all. To kill something gives me the most thrilling experience. It is even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. The best part of it is that when I die, I will be reborn in paradise and all that I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collection of slaves for my afterlife. Ibiraya Teemeth Pity. 340 cipher. The Zodiac sent a card and a new cipher, known as the 340 cipher, to the San Francisco Chronicle on the 8th of November. The 340 cipher wasn't decoded until December of 2020 by a team of international citizens, 51 years after it was sent. I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner, because I now have enough slaves to work for me where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise, so they are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I know that my new life will be an easy one in paradise death. Further mailings. The Zodiac continued to send many letters throughout 1969 and the 1970s, updating his kill count and taunting the police. A particular focus of some of these letters was the aforementioned school bus bomb, which he called a death machine and a masterpiece that would use photoelectric switches and a remote control. In one of his letters, known as the Belly letter sent on the 20th of December 1969, he sent another cut-off portion of Paul Stin's shirt. A notable letter sent on the 20th of April 1970 to the San Francisco Chronicle included a new cipher, known as the "My name is ____ cipher, containing 13 symbols that to this day has not been solved. Another common topic in his letters was his desire for the public to start wearing Zodiac buttons. He wanted people to wear them so much that he even suggested nasty buttons or any kind people could think of. If people didn't wear them, he said he would torture his slaves, his victims waiting for him in paradise. The letter sent by the Zodiac Killer to the San Francisco Chronicle on the 29th of January 1974 is considered by many as the Zodiac's last letter. In this letter, he claims his killing count had totaled 37 suspects. There have been many suspects in relation to the Zodiac, but the case still remains unsolved after over 50 years. The following is a list of the most commonly suggested suspects: Arthur Lee Allen, Richard Gaykowski, Richard Marshall, Lawrence Kane, Gary Francis Post, Arthur Lee Allen was the prime suspect in the Zodiac case and was the only suspect to be served search warrants by law enforcement. His background included being dishonorably discharged from the U.S. Navy and facing sexual misconduct allegations leading to him being fired from his position as a primary school teacher. He was brought to the attention of police in relation to the murder of Shirley Jo Bates, a suspected Zodiac killing, who was stabbed in Riverside, because he was seen near the site of the attack. DNA and fingerprints from the Zodiac's crimes don't match those of Allen. A handwriting expert also ruled out Allen as the writer of the Zodiac's letters. The main points of interest linking Allen included his connection to the Navy and the fact he wore size 10.5 shoes, linkage to the Wing Walker boots, as well as owning a similar typewriter as the one that produced a confession letter relating to Bates' murder, which has never actually been attempted to be matched, and his friend alleging that Allen liked to kill couples at random and taunt police with letters amongst calling himself the Zodiac. Another of his friends told police that Allen was fascinated by the idea of hunting people. A further point was that he lived near the areas of the Zodiac's crimes and that the search warrant executed by the Vallejo Police Department found the same ammunition type used in the Lake Herman Road incident as well as a knife similar to the one suspected to be used in the Lake Berryessa incident, but again, these have never been attempted to be matched. Allen died in 1992. Gary Francis Post is the most recent suspect of interest and was connected to the Zodiac by a team known as the Case Breakers, made up of investigators, detectives, forensic experts, former FBI and Army personnel, through eyewitnesses, court affidavits, personal photos and a possible DNA match. Post had been previously jailed for domestic abuse in 2016 and died in 2018. The Case Breakers' claims have not been proven as of yet.